guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Tita's Pageantry, and for this episode, I'm going to be bringing you the review of Binibining Pilipinas 2021. So please make sure you stick around. Please subscribe to the channel as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant fix. You wouldn't want to miss this, guys. So after almost 2 years, the dazzling finals of Binibining Pilipinas culminated in a show that was aired on several channels as well as several platforms on the 9th of July 11. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the classic review, but I know you have some burning questions, so I'm going to even try to explain that and help you see why the decisions were made the way they were. So I'm going to start first with the production. Now, I really was super excited with what they had to bring to the table, because if we factor in the other pre-pageant activities such as the national costume show, swimsuit presentation, as well as the video releases in between, I mean, that definitely upped the expectations. And I was really glad that we weren't disappointed. This was a show that wasn't just aired for the sake of airing it after so many months of having the finals pushed back. This was a show that was well thought of. It was a lot simpler than the past Binibini editions, but this was something that was tight, it was clean, it was crisp, it was HD, and thanks to the efforts of the new production team that made this all happen. Now, the production team that made this happen was under Stellar Production, and this was headed by Direct Alco, who I mentioned before is also the son of Miss Chit Guerrero, who has been very active with ABS-CBN as well as Binibining Pilipinas. So this time around, it seemed that they listened to a lot of our suggestions. It seemed that they listened to a lot of the things we want in a show, so they incorporated this. Now, I know and I will recognize that the production wasn't perfect. There were a number of sound glitches in between, but that's fine, because if there was something that I learned about this pandemic, all of these organizations who have pushed for either a live show or a virtual show really would have to have some sort of technical difficulties or technical glitches in between. So that's pretty understandable. So I most definitely like the setup. Now, at first, it had all of the Miss Saigon feels to it, but I really like the nod to the Philippine sunset or the Manila sunset, if I could be more specific. I like that the girls were in shades of yellow, a little bit of green, a little bit of orange, and that the dance steps were just really easy to follow. It wasn't as amazing as MGI, but it was very Binibini. It was simple, it was easy to follow, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, days and weeks down the line, I know a lot of people will copy those moves. I also really like the lighting as well as the camera panning and the angles. Again, there are room for improvements, but I really like that they listen to us. For years, we have been asking and praying for Binibini to rectify at least the lighting and the camera angles. So I feel like this time around, they did a really good job with that. We'll be moving forward to the tandem of Catriona Gray and Nicole Cordoves. I thought that it was a really good way to showcase these queens who we know are acing at least the area of communication. So Kat is an able host, and Nicole is just so there to be supportive. I know Nicole had a hand at some of the script or some of the words that were spoken and written within the show. So the input of these two ladies was vital in making this show the way it was. I really like the eye candy factor of bringing these two women together. They had chemistry. They knew how to support each other in a live show. So there were some boo-boos, especially with Kat saying Venezuela instead of Valenzuela and maybe butchering some of the names, but I find it really endearing, especially coming from Kat, because Kat has been so perfect in our eyes. So for Kat to make these little mistakes and be cute about it, I know that there are a lot of memes that are circulating around, and I thought it was really fun to see, you know, Kat making mistakes in between and Nicole just being very supportive and Nicole just looking the part. Now, in terms of looking the part, I mentioned that they were both eye candy, but I will definitely be zeroing in on Nicole. Nicole had such a fabulous wardrobe during the show. Now, I know it is a little polarizing, but let me tell you that Nicole's look was intentional and it was also directional. She did mention that she and Bonita, the stylist who coined all of the looks for Nicole, thought about doing something really campy this year. Now, camp is of course a concept that was seen at the Met Gala in 2019. I cannot really classify what camp is, but if you're in the know, if you are following fashion as well, camp is a concept that is creative, it's artistic, it's very visual, it's very in your face, it's polarizing. So Nicole wore a lot of these looks that were just so visually impactful. The first look was a breastplate armor looking thing that was a nod to Zendaya's Tom Ford, and then she had a blingy tuxedo look, which was a nod to Amanda Seyfried's Miu Miu. So yeah, they were able to pull inspiration from existing fashion looks out there, but they made it their own. And I like that if they took inspiration from other looks and made it their own. I like that the make was clean, because anyway, if you're going to copy a concept, might as well make a really good copy, or make a copy that's above and beyond the original, if that's even possible. Unfortunately, this wasn't Kat's winning moment in terms of styling. I think a lot of us will agree to it. As much as I love Kat, as much as a lot of us love Kat, this wasn't her best moment, but nevertheless, she delivered. Both Nicole and Kat did really, really well, not just in supporting each other, but also supporting the girls who were on stage. There were a lot of tributes in between. I like that they gave a highlight to Bea Rose Santiago, Miss International 2013, and that they gave highlights to the existing titles and franchise of Binibining Pilipinas. I understand that these highlights contributed to the length of the show, but like for me, that's fine, because now is the perfect time for Binibini to re-establish their connections and their relationships with these franchise or these titles, because that probably is now part of the rebranding, and because Miss Universe Philippines as well as Miss Supranational is no longer with Binibining Pilipinas, now is a great time to really insert snippets of the existing franchise to show support and to show importance for the existing titles that are left with the organization. I really like the decision of not sticking with an all-female judging. I appreciate the decision of plucking personalities from modeling, from the field of fashion, from the field of beauty pageantry, entertainment as well. So we had varied judges from the likes of Pinky Webb, from the likes of Kylie Versosa, Liza Soberano, Enrique Hill, as well as Rahul Laurel, and also the chairman of Ever Bilena. So I like the involvement of these sectors, because these ladies will most definitely have interactions with people from such sectors. So they also gave out a lot of special awards. Now, I really like the fact that they did not give out the awards in majority to just one girl. Like, no one dominated the awards. Now, if you were watching during that time, that kind of added to your anxiety, because one of the things that we wait for is whoever will sweep all the awards, because most likely that person will get into, one of the titles or one of the crowns. But in this case, they made it a little difficult for us. Now, because the pacing was fast, even if they had little segments in between, they went straight to top 12. Now, there were a little bit of speculations in the past that maybe they would cut to top 20 first and then cut to top 12. But no, they brutally cut the girls to top 12. And the ones who made it had to have a little bit of a speech prepared. So we had Gabby Basiano of Borongan Samar. We had Patricia Garcia of Manila, Karen Lori Mendoza of Iloilo, Graciela Liman of Oriental Mindoro, Francesca Taruk of Angeles, Pampanga, Meiji Cruz of Valenzuela. We had Josh Di Maculangan of Albay. We also had Samantha Panlilio of Cavite, Pat Babista of Quezon Province, Honey Cartasano of Rizal, Hannah Arnold of Masbate, Maureen Montaigne of Batangas, and the 13th spot, which was a Cinderella story up until the ending, went to Cinderella Opianita of Cagayan de Oro. So I think the top 12 was just a really good choice, but after the dust settled, we got the shock of our lives, at least at Binibining Pilipinas. We were looking for who might be the El Tocuyo this year, and heartbreakingly so, it ended on Justine Felizardo, one of the strongest candidates this edition. Swimwear. Now, I wish they had longer time for the girls to really showcase their footwork, their pasarela. I felt that it was commendable the way that it was shot, but I felt that it was just too short of an exposure for the girls. Very different from the exposure that they received during the swimsuit preliminary competition. Because whenever the girls would go out, another one would be at the back waiting for her turn. So I kind of missed the spot of having the full performance of these girls. I wish they would have given more time for the girls to really showcase their walk, showcase their poses, and their stance, because guys, they practiced for this for more than 2 years, or for almost 2 years. But that's beyond the point. The point was, it was nicely done. I kind of hope that they change the LED like figure at the back, or the images at the back, because everything just seemed a little orangey, a little sunsetty. I wish that they had more blues, but I guess it had something to do with the print and the actual feel of the swimwear. Now, initially, it was supposed to be a different print altogether, but they changed the print to a mashup of the Fire Orchid as well as Adarna's, the Adarna gown, the one that Catriona Gray wore for her prelims. But I don't know, when the swimsuits came out, they ended up looking like the lava gown. So I don't know if it was intentional or if they really wanted to give Catriona a bit of a nod or a highlight. But yeah, it did look like the lava gown. I like the fact that they were in different swimsuit cuts, even if they had similar fabrics going on, because yeah, I just wish that they had a hand in picking the style that they would wear, because some of the cuts were flattering, some of the cuts weren't so flattering. Some of the one-piece swimsuits just made the bodies of some of the girls more straight instead of hourglass. But I think that just has something to do with picking the right style for your body type. Did I like it? I liked it. I just wish that the execution was a lot cleaner, a lot crisper, and I just wish that they could have gotten away with the gold piping, because this was something I've seen before. It would have been nicer had it just been clean with a little bit of the sparkly details and a little bit of that print detail from the actual swimsuit. But for swimwear, given this exposure is just really very short compared to the other editions, I think that they gave the award for best in swimsuit to the deserving girl who just really performed, and that was Meiji Cruz. And I thought that her performance was just so fun and effervescent. It was just a little different from all of the other girls, who was just a little slower in the way they moved, I guess because they wanted a little bit of more airtime, knowing that the exposure was going to be just shorter than usual. So I will be moving on to gowns this time. Now, I won't be having an extensive review about the gowns because I will have a separate episode for you about the gowns. But most definitely, I wasn't overwhelmed by a lot of the designs, but that's fine because all of my negativity was erased when Gabriel Bashano came out in that beautiful pearlized gown with that netting and that hood detail, and just the way she presented it. It was just so couture that I did not expect this from the people who have been handling Gabby. I know that they are very creative. They are good friends of ours at Titas of Pageantry, but I just did not realize that they had this skill in the bag. So for them to showcase this and to make Gabby stand out for evening wear, I thought it was a really brilliant idea. So they also had a good tribute to the former queens, and I'm really happy that they gave a platform to the likes of Gazzini, who we know is no longer we know that her title is no longer affiliated with Binibining Pilipinas. So I'm just really glad that they lent her to Miss Universe Philippines to crown the next winner, which was Rabia, and then they allowed her to come back for her final walk. Now, I will say that unfortunately not a lot of us got to see her final walk because they cut it from the final show. I don't know if that was a technical glitch on their end, or if we just didn't get to see it because a lot of us were watching and that maybe our internet connection got wonky in between. But it would have been really nice to see the full final walk of these ladies, and it was really nice to see all of the girls, Aya, Samantha, Emma, Laren, Patch, Gazini, glowing. Now I know a lot of you are going to ask, Tita, where is Resham? Why didn't she come on board? I honestly don't know, but let me try and offer a little bit of an explanation. Maybe it would help. Just like you, I thought Resham would come back for Binibining Pilipinas because I know that she is now based in Bali. But I guess because of travel restrictions, she couldn't. Now, for the longest time, this was also the reason that I kept on thinking of, but they managed to invite Gazini on board, and they managed to, do a little bit of adjustments with Bea Rose Santiago and having that virtual thing going on, that I thought that maybe Resham would also send in, I don't know, like a virtual greeting or like a virtual final walk for the final show, but that did not happen. So I guess I'm assuming something is going on between them. Now, Resham, if I am not mistaken, hasn't given any space to any post pertaining to Binibining Pilipinas, so you guys just have to read between the lines. I don't know if they are okay, but it just seems that Resham is really not involved in any of the pre-pageant activities as well as the finals, showcasing the former queens. I did not really focus on Q&A this time because I know for a fact that Nicole Cordoves usually does content on Q&A. Now, Q&A, all the things that I can say about it is that it was really difficult. The questions were varied, and the level of difficulty also, really challenged the girls. There were some questions that bordered on ridiculous, but there were just some questions that really tugged into our heartstrings. So the ones that I really liked were the questions of Michael Cinco. I thought that Cindy Obianita was perfect for that type of question because that question is pretty tricky. If a Michael Cinco, who is part of someone from the luxury lifestyle, is going to ask about the importance of purchasing luxury items in this time of the pandemic. I mean, for someone like me who, is thinking about purchasing a lot of jewelry in this time, it makes me think whether it's even appropriate. Now, I like Cindy's answer because this was Cindy's time to shine, for her to go for the kill. I mean, give the girl a mic and she will definitely run away with a crown, which most definitely happened by the end of the night. So yeah, there were questions that I felt were unnecessary. There were questions that I felt the girls should have been more prepared for, because if there was one thing that I noticed about Q&A this time is that the nervousness of the girls were just so evident. It seemed to me like they did not train for this. It seemed for me that, they were just so psyched with Q&A that it really showed. I mean, almost none of them showed enthusiasm that they were up there to answer Q&A. I only saw that spark of joy with Cindy Obinita, maybe with Samantha Pandilio, but the others were just so terrified. It registered on screen, and the likes of Hannah Arnold, which was, I feel, very, very smart, kept it all together, kept it simple. There weren't a lot of fireworks in the way that she delivered her answer, but it was simple, it was stable, and it was a level-headed answer. And I think this played to her advantage later on. So now I will move into the placements, because there were definite heartbreaks with the way that they chose the placements as well as the winners. So for starters, when Meiji Cruz was announced as Binibining Pilipinas second runner-up, I was definitely heartbroken for her, because I felt that she was acing a lot of these segments, and I felt really, really bad for her, because I felt that that night she was at her most beautiful, and her enthusiasm in answering the question and losing a little bit of time to complete her answer really cost her her position. And unfortunately, Meiji is turning 28 this year, and that probably really played a part in why she was placed on reserve instead of a crown, because in these uncertain times, it's most likely that Binibining Pilipinas did not want to gamble, did not want to be in the same situation as they were when they were thinking about Samantha Bernardo or Aya Abesami. So this is the only reason that I could think of why Meiji was stuck in second runner-up. Another heartbreak for the evening was that Gabriel Basiano was not allowed to compete this year. Now, because it has been 2 days since the finals, now it's making more sense why Gabby was not allowed to compete. Although she aced some of the segments, most especially evening gown, Gabby is actually a shoe-in for all of the crowns this year. So if something happens, if the dates get pushed back, or if someone, knock on wood, gets sick, Gabby would be a perfect replacement for any of these titles. Gabby is still unpolished. There are still work that needs to be done, even if she aced a lot of the segments for the competition. But Gabby still has time to really grow into the world-class beauty queen that we aim for her to be. And I think that with her involvement with Binibining Pilipinas as first runner-up, she would get premium training. Now, let's move on to Binibining Pilipinas Globe. They gave this one to Maureen, and I don't know, I feel a little bit responsible for this because I did a non-committal pick, and I said, you know, if you want to finish this off, you could put Maureen here, and that just seemed really unfortunate, but that's fine because it is still a crown. And I think although this was not something that has been openly discussed, yeah, I will be opening up the discussion for you because I really feel that they placed Maureen at Miss Globe, number one, because of her prowess, number two, because yeah, she can definitely slay Miss Globe, and number three, age was really an issue. It was unfortunate that Maureen turned 28 the day before the finals of July 11. It was her birthday on July 10th. So you know, for Maureen, it was just really unfortunate that she can no longer chase her Miss International dreams because she is no longer eligible for it. She is also no longer a fit for MGI because of age. And, you know, instead of putting her to Intercontinental, maybe they felt that she had more chances of winning if they placed her at Miss Globe, because at least for Miss Globe, they're more forgiving when it comes to the age limit. So that's most likely the reason why Maureen ended up Binibining Pilipinas Globe. Cindy Obianita was, again, the Cinderella story of the evening. She got Miss Intercontinental, or Binibining Pilipinas Intercontinental. Now, a lot of people have this huge question marks on their head why it was Cindy who garnered that position. But if you notice, the ladies who all got crowns were the 4 ladies who did really well in Q&A. So for Cindy, that performance in Q&A really is hard to miss, and I feel like she would do a really, really good job at representing us at Miss Intercontinental, because the comm skills is something that can be trained, can be polished. This is something that is bestowed upon you. Unfortunately, this is something that not something that you can learn to ace in just a couple of months. So if Cindy is innately good with her communication skills, then we are good with that. Now, out of the 4 winners, Cindy is the only one who doesn't really have a lot of PR machinery or a lot of creatives under her belt. So I am really excited on the transformation of Cindy, on how she will attack this competition, because Cindy definitely still needs a lot of work when it comes to polishing. Number one, she has to have a good skincare routine as well as a good derma partner to make sure that she is glowing, to make sure that everything is in control when it comes to her skin. She has to work on her pasarela even more, and more than anything else, I am really excited for Cindy to be handled by those big names in fashion, by those big names in entertainment, by those big names in styling, because I feel like there is still so much styling potential that we haven't seen from Cindy. Now comes the most controversial decision of the night, and this has something to do with the placement of Samantha Panlilio at Miss Grand International. Now, just like you, as much as I love Samantha Panlilio, I also had that huge question mark in my head, because I have explained extensively what the Philippines need to win Miss Grand International. And unfortunately, Samantha ticks all of the boxes except for height. Now, I know every one of us will zero in on Samantha's height. Samantha, if I'm not mistaken, is around 5'6" or 5'7". So for her to go head-to-head with the Glamazons of South America, as well as our direct competition, Indonesia, Samantha might have a difficult time in standing out. But I know that Samantha is a go-getter. I know that Samantha loves a challenge. And I also know that Samantha has the resources to pluck the best people in the industry to help her. So I'm giving Samantha this chance because I think they also considered Samantha's output during this campaign. She was very consistent in releasing a lot of these videos and a lot of these photos that kept us, interested, that kept us glued. So with Samantha, I am willing to take a chance on somebody who is a little shorter this year, because if this doesn't work this year, hopefully by next year, they'll fulfill our list and give us a girl who can just really, deliver. But we will see. If I'm being very honest with you, Samantha's fight is a fight for Miss Grand International is something that I am really looking forward to, because she is already at a disadvantage here at the Nationals. I want to see how she gets to attack this for International. And then comes the biggest winner of the night, Hannah Arnold for Miss International. Now, Hannah was a winner that night, and let me tell you why. Hannah did not perform in the most exceptional way, not in swim, not in evening gown, not even in Q&A. But Hannah had the most solid performance. Hannah had the safest performance. So during the course of the night, when other contenders for Miss International were already dropping due to performance or age, Hannah emerged as the obvious winner for this crown. And let me tell you why again. I guess because Hannah was just really focused that her intention was to win Miss International. It resonated with the way she looked, with how she spoke, with how she conducted herself, with how she moved, even with her wardrobe. Now, I thought that everything just seemed like a hard sell. Everything just seemed so blatantly campaigning for Miss International. But you know what? It worked in Hannah's favor. I mean, when other contenders for Miss International just didn't seem at par with all of her expectations, Hannah emerged as someone with Miss International stamped across her head, if that makes sense. So for the other contenders not to do as well and Hannah to remain standing, looking the part, I mean, you would be out of your mind not to give Hannah that crown, knowing that that performance was just enough for her to get the Miss International title. So there you go, guys. I hope that this edition for you is worthwhile. I know we waited for this. There have been a number of heartbreaks. Justine Felizarta not making it at least to top 12 is something that we still have to discuss further. Some say that it has something to do with age. Others say it has something to do with recovery because she just came out of surgery and Binibining Pilipinas didn't want to push her any further. Some said that it has something to do with her polarizing face and features. Honestly, we really wouldn't know. At least for performance and the way that she presented herself, I am still firm in my decision that she should have been given at least a recognition in the top 12 spot. So there you go, guys. This is jam-packed. I hope you enjoy this and hopefully you have more time to wait for me to do that gown review. So I will see you very soon. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, Binibining Pilipinas. Congratulations, ladies.